Therefore, all of this conditionally arising cosmic domain is a dynamic play of order, change, and sacrifice, for the sake of growth and for the sake of the transcending of egoity, and not for the sake of conditional existence in and of itself. Part 5. The non-conditional reality is modified, but only apparently, as a conditional reality. This must be realized. Until this truth is realized, all conditional experience is a school with a single lesson. This is the lesson of life. I cannot become happy. I can only be happy. The self-contracted being or conditional I seeks happiness conditionally by pursuing and depending on conditions, objects, and others. This is an error, and the fault is profound. Happiness is not a characteristic of conditional reality itself, but happiness or love bliss is an inherent characteristic of the non-conditional or divine reality itself. And the conditional reality is always a modification of the non-conditional reality. Therefore, the realization of happiness or love bliss is possible in any moment if conditional existence is released into full participation in me. The divinely avataric self-revealed prior, non-conditional, transcendental, inherently spiritual, intrinsically egoless, perfectly accursal, and self-evidently divine person of reality itself, which is the self-nature, self-condition, and self-state that is always already the case. Happiness or love bliss is inherent in the non-conditional or always already condition of reality, and therefore it must be inherently and most perfectly and not merely conditionally realized. The only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is the way of inherent happiness or inherent love bliss. The true demonstration of the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam is, in the conditional worlds associated with all kinds of conditions, objects, and others. But certain dependency relative to conditions, objects, and others is by means of my avataric self-transmitted divine transcendental spiritual grace to be constantly transcended by a responsively ego-surrendering, ego-forgetting, and ego-transcending devotional communion with me. And thus, by means of the always present and always grace-given realization of inherent happiness, or my divine love blissfulness, under all conditions and in all relations. I do not call my devotee to become happy by strategically separating body, emotion, or attention from conditions, objects, and others. I do not say, be dissociatively unmoved under all conditions and in all relations. Rather, I call my devotee to transcend the conditional and egoic self-contraction under all conditions and in all relations. I call my devotee to turn to me moment to moment, and thus and thereby to transcend self-contraction under all conditions and in all relations. Therefore, I call my ego-transcending devotee to be happy, by to me responsibly relinquishing unhappiness itself, which is only self-contraction itself, under all conditions and in all relations, and always by means of ego-transcending devotional communion with me, without dissociative strategy, but only by responsively devotionally turning to me realizing happiness itself, intrinsically and ultimately inherently perfectly transcends all conditions and all conditional relations. The inherent happiness of my divine love bliss is not realized by dissociation or the strategic avoidance of relationship. The inherent happiness of my divine love bliss is realized by transcending the self-contraction in limitless relatedness, or no contraction and no self, which is egoless or unconditional devotional communion with me, or participatory surrender of the total conditional and altogether psychophysical personality, or body-mind self in and to me, the avatarically self-revealed transcendental, inherently spiritual, intrinsically egoless, perfectly acausal, and self-evidently divine person or self-nature, self-condition, source condition, and self-state of reality itself. Inherent happiness or love bliss is realized prior to, but not by strategically excluding conditions, conditional objects, and conditional relations. Inherent happiness or love bliss is realized in the context of present relationship or under present conditions, when the self-contraction is utterly relinquished, and in the only by me revealed and given reality way of Adidam. That relinquishment is not a matter of strategic ego effort or the search that dramatizes self-contraction, but it is a matter of devotionally me recognizing and devotionally to me responding, and responsively ego surrendering and ego forgetting and effectively ego observing, ego understanding, and ego transcending participatory resort to my brightly attractive avatarically born bodily human divine form, and my avatarically self-transmitted transcendental spiritual and always blessing divine presence, and ultimately my avatarically self-revealed and very and transcendental and perfectly subjective and inherently spiritual and intrinsically egoless and inherently perfect and perfectly acausal and self-evidently divine state. Therefore, if the reality way of Adidam, which is the way of by my divine avataric grace revealed inherent love bliss, is rightly, truly, fully, and fully devotionally practiced, conditional existence itself, including object dependency, other dependency, and even the perception of conditional relatedness, will most ultimately, and by means of my avatarically self-transmitted divine transcendental spiritual grace, be transcended and outshined in the egoless inherent or self-radiant love bliss of my transcendental or self-existing divine self-nature, self-condition, and self-state. Life in its ultimate fullness is the ordeal of right, true, and full real God love, even the ordeal of the heart under extreme conditions. The price of happiness in every moment is release of self-contraction and release of the search to acquire, hold on to, or strategically escape the conditions of conditional existence. This release is possible only if there is most fundamental self-understanding, and that most fundamental self-understanding may be fulfilled most ultimately and most perfectly only by me distracted devotional communion with me, the divinely avatarically self-revealed person of reality itself, truth itself, and love bliss itself, and that always turning to me devotion is senior to all concerns relative to virtue, duty, and conventional or humanistic social morality.